everybody. My name is Richard, and with me is Gianna. Say hi to Gianna.
Hi, I'm Gianna.
Hi, Gianna. So Gianna and I are here to show you some lanyard stuff. I guess this is hopefully the second lanyard tutorial that has been recorded. We understand that there was a basic one that taught you how to do the 4-strand lanyard, the little box. I'm going to switch to my camera so I can hold things up to the camera, my back camera. So this little guy that we all know and love, the little 4-strand lanyard, the 4-strand box. So we're assuming that you either saw that video or you know how to do this already. We're not going to teach you how to do this. We're assuming that you know how to do this stitch. And we're also assuming that you know how to start it, because that's usually the biggest question. How do you start these things? Or can you start one for me, however you get started? So we're assuming you know how to do that. And this is going to be a couple of, or more than one, advanced lanyard techniques, sort of the next step after you get tired of doing the little box. What we're going to be showing you is how to do a 6-strand lanyard. So here is a 6-strand lanyard. If you look up real close, you see it looks sort of like 2 4-strand lanyards together. Here's the 4-strand, and there's the 6-strand. And instead of 1 strand coming out the top and bottom, there's 2 strands coming out the top and bottom. So we're going to show you how to do this one, how this stitch works. And that's the first thing we're going to show you. And then, because this is a little bit hard to start, we're going to show you how to start it from a 4-strand. So if you do a 4-strand and put that together, we're going to show you how to add a strand and turn it into a 6-strand. And then Gianna's going to show you how to get fancy once you have that 6-strand going, okay? So let's get started. I'm going to start by showing you the 6-strand stitch. And so let me hold this up. Hopefully you can see this. And again, it looks like 2 4-strands together, but instead of just 1 strand coming out the top, we have 2 strands next to each other coming out the top, another 2 coming out the bottom, and then 1 strand on each side. So I'm going to show you a very simple way. Now, I'll tell you ahead of time, there's more than one way to do these stitches. If you learn from somebody that's not me and not Gianna, you will probably find a different way of putting the stitch together. So I'm just going to show you the way that I do it. And the way I do it is I start at the top, or if you're holding it and looking down on it, start at the back. And I take the first strand and I bring it toward me and I put it in between the 2 bottom strands. So I take the yellow, I bring it toward me, and I put it in between the yellow and green on the bottom, and I hold it there with my thumb to get that strand out of the way. And then I take the green strand right next to it and bring that straight forward and put that not in between, because the yellow one's in between. I put that on the end over here. So this is sort of loose on the end, and I hold that with my thumb. So I've taken the 2 back strands and brought them both straight forward. Now, the one that's on the loose end, in my case, it's the one on the right. I take that orange one, the one on the end, and I bring that across the front and hold it down tight. Okay? So I brought the 2 forward. I brought the one on the loose end, the orange one, over across and held it down tight. Now I take the front 2 stitches, the front 2 strands, and I bring the front middle one straight back and down tight, and the yellow one straight back and down tight. Okay? So I brought the 2 back ones forward, I brought the one on the right across the front, and I brought the 2 front ones back and have them tight. I only have one left, and that's this orange one on the left. And you see the 2 loops that I made originally when I brought the 2 forward? I put the orange one through those 2 loops over to the other side, and that's my stitch. Now I pull it tight by pulling on the 2 and then the 1 the side-to-side ones, and then the orange end-to-ends. I pull that stitch tight, and I have a stitch done. Okay, let me go through that one more time. I'm going to take the green one from the back and bring that down into the middle and hold it. I'm going to take the yellow one next to it and bring that straight forward. And now this is the one on the loose end, right? It was the other side before, but now it's this side. I bring that straight down, and now I have those two loops. I take the orange one on the end where the back loop is loose. In this case, it's the left-hand side, the yellow one, and I bring that over across the front. I take the front yellow and bring it straight back in between the two loops. I take the front green and bring it straight back. And then I'm left with the orange one on the right. Put that through the two original loops and tighten the stitch by pulling the two front and back, and then the orange side to side. The 2 and 1, 2 and 1, and I have a nice tight stitch. Now you may want to look at this a couple of times. If you can rewind the video, it's probably a good idea to rewind or back it up a little bit and look at that a couple of times, and then try it with your own and see if you can't get that stitch so you can do it pretty easily. Now, for you to have a 6 strand, you need to start it. And rather than showing you how to start a 6 strand, which is a little bit complicated, I'm going to work with something you already know how to do, and that is a 4 strand. Okay? Remember, you know how to do that 4 strand. And again, there's different ways to do the 4 strand stitch, but I'm going to bring the yellow forward, the orange across, the yellow back, and the other orange through the loop. And I have a 4 strand stitch, which you already know how to do. But before I tighten that stitch, I'm going to add another strand to that stitch. And here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to take a loose piece of lanyard material, in this case, a green piece, and I'm going to slide it in going front to back. So I'm going to just slide it in underneath so it's next to the yellow one. Now I'm going to tighten the stitch, holding the green one. It's just slid in. I'm holding the green one in place and tightening the 4 strand stitch that I did, and I have that green one stuck in there. So now, suddenly, if I hold it like I was holding the 6 strand, I have 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom and 1 on each side, just like a 6 strand stitch. So now we have to do a 6 strand stitch. So I'm going to start with the green, and I'm going to bring it forward in between the green and the yellow. And then I'm going to take the yellow one and bring that one forward. And that's going to be, remember, there's one that's loose on the end. That's going to be the one on the right-hand end that's loose. So there's my first 2, just like in the 6 strand. Then I'm going to take, because the yellow one is loose on the right, I'm going to take the right-hand orange and bring it down and tight across the front. And now I'm going to work with the front 2 loops and 2 strands, and I'm going to bring the green one in between the green and the yellow, and I'm going to bring the yellow one over, just like in the 6 strand stitch. I have 1 left, and that is the orange one on the right, and I'm going to bring that, on the left, bring that through. And because I added that green, slid it into that 4 strand, when I tighten it, it becomes a 6 strand. See that? So we had a 4 strand. We added a green by sliding it in before we tightened the 4 strand stitch. And now we have a 6 strand. And again, you may want to practice that by rewinding the video and seeing if you can slide another color in. and make your 4-strand a 6-strand, and that gets you to the fun part that Gianna is going to show you on how to make the 6-strand stitch fancy. Because if you notice the one that I did a couple of stitches here, and I mean, it's okay, it's cool, but it's straight. It's a boxy straight stitch, and you can be proud of yourself for doing this. But pretty soon you're going to say, how can I make it fancy like, I don't know, some of the ones that I've seen. So Gianna, why don't you take over and show people how to fancy up that 6-strand.
Okay, hi guys. I'm going to be showing you how to make a 6-strand spiral. And when you're done, it will be like, the stitch will look something like this, depending on what colors you use. So let's start off by showing that when he showed you how to do the 6-strand box, he went straight over with the strands like this. But with this stitch, it's a little bit different. You're going to be going on a diagonal. So you're going to be going across the strands like this. And then the same goes for the strands across here. You're going to be crossing them as you do your stitch. Then let me show you what that looks like. So you're going to be going over and under. Oh shoot, my stand fell over. Let me fix that. You're going to be going over and under, making sure that it's on the other side of the one that would be normally going straight across. And then over and under. And I'm going to show you 2 different ways to do this stitch, because depending on how well you know where the stitches are supposed to go, one could be more easy than the other. So you have to make sure that you're doing everything on a diagonal, not just the white ones that go all the way across. And then you're going to tighten. And it's not supposed to look as boxy since the stitches are different. So don't be nervous when it's not a straight box like the stitches on here. And then another way to do this is to cross the side strands first, which is the one that I normally do since it's less weaving, but you have to be more vigilant about where the strands go. So I don't know if this is blurry. Trying to zoom this in. Notice how, while this one usually goes straight across, it's going on the left side of the red strand over here. And then you're going to take this red strand and solidify the diagonal. And we're going to do the same thing with the blue strands. And you're going to make sure that you hold them in place. And then you're going to take your strand that goes across and go over and under, and then over and under. And that is going to go on the opposite side of the other white strand, making a diagonal. Am I being clear enough? Do you have any pointers?
I think you are. I think you are.
Okay. And then so you're going to go over and under, and then over and under. Sorry, I was out of frame for a little bit. And then you're going to pull. And you're going to tighten your stitch. And should I do it one more time?
I would say yes.
Okay. So let's get our organized. I'll try and make this like closer. We're gonna go red over, and then another red over, blue over to the left of the other blue, crossing them, making it a diagonal. Then the blue back over this way. Gotta hold it. So this style of lanyarding, it requires a lot of focus on knowing where the different strands are supposed to go. But after a while, it becomes easier and you become more familiar with the pattern. And then we're gonna tighten. And after a while, you're gonna notice that your strands are spiraling around because of the diagonal. And
Yeah, that makes
okay,
sense. Yeah.
sense?
So that's great. And as Gianna says, when you do that and you keep doing it, it will go around and around and around. So the way now remember I said there are different ways to do these stitches, and people do them differently. Gianna and I never compared how we do them, and Gianna, you do it differently than I do.
Yeah,
And but I think the important thing is when you have this straight 6-strander, if you're doing a straight stitch, remember I said you come straight over the top to the other side. If you're doing it Gianna's way and twisting it, instead of bringing this yellow here, you bring the yellow one to the left.
yeah.
So now instead of straight across, it's here, and then you bring the other yellow back one to the right. And then the same thing with the green. You bring the green forward. Oh, I'm using an 8-strand here, but it's okay. So instead of bringing it forward straight over, you bring it forward one to the left or one to the right.
Thank you for helping to what I was trying to say, because just for the viewers that are looking at this, just to save you some time, if you don't go one to the left or one to the right, the stitches won't hold correctly. And it won't end up filling, and I don't think they work at all because of how the diagonals end up working out.
Yep. Now, I'll tell you a little secret. And Gianna, I wonder if you know this too, but if you're doing a spiral the way you're doing it, and you get that nice spiral in one direction. So here's an example of a spiral that goes one direction and suddenly changes direction.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is you do the spiral stitch that Gianna showed you how to do, and you keep doing it. And then when you want to change direction, you put in one straight stitch. And then once you put in one straight stitch, if you start spiraling right after that one straight stitch, it will go the other direction.
It's awesome.
It's almost like magic. I've done lanyards for a long time and I haven't quite figured out how to do it, but here is an example of one where I was doing a spiral on the top here. I put in one straight stitch right here, and then the spiral started going the other direction. And if you want to get really fancy, you can keep switching it back and forth, like this one. So you can do a spiral for a quarter of a turn and then a straight stitch and spiral back a quarter of a turn and have it go back and forth and back and forth. It just depends on how you want your lanyard to come out. So that makes it sort of fun. And that when you make a lanyard like this and you show it to somebody, or the one Gianna showed you, they go, whoa, how did you do that? And here's another example of starting out with a straight stitch. This is a 6-strand box, starting out with a straight stitch, doing spiral for a little while, and then ending up with a straight stitch again. So you can play with it. You can you can insert it in the middle. Here's one that's a 10-strand lanyard with one spiral in the middle, and then back to a straight stitch. So there's no one way to do it. It just depends on when you want the lanyard to spiral around, and when you want it to be straight. So it's up. The design is up to you, right, Gianna?
Have fun and impress your friends.
Yeah, impress your friends. Now I'll show you one more thing, because I did show you, remember our 6-strand. We started with a 4-strand, right? We put in 1 strand, and now it's a 6-strand. And you see, I don't want it to be too blurry, but you see it's sort of like 2 4-strands next to each other. So that's a 6-strand. If you wanted to add another strand, you would end up with an 8-strand. And that looks like 3 4-strands together. And I'm going to just very quickly show you how to go from a 6 to an 8. And it's just the way we went from a 4 to a 6. So I'm going to do 1 stitch in a 6-strand. And remember, this is the way we started. I'm going to bring the back straight forward, the green and the yellow, and hold it with my thumb. The yellow is the one that's loose on the end. So I'm going to wrap that orange across the front. Now I'm going to take the yellow in the front and wrap it in the back, right through the middle. I'm going to take this green, and it's going to be the loose one on the end, and I'm going to put it in the back. And then I'm left with the orange on the left, and I bring it through those first 2 loops. And whoops, sorry. And then cameras. So now I have a loose 6-strand, right? But before I tighten it, I'm going to turn it in to an 8-strand. I'm going to take this pink one and I'm going to thread it through just like I did with the 4-strand to make this a 6-strand. I'm going to thread it through front to back, and I'm going to tighten the stitch. And now, instead of a 6-strand, I have 3 in the front and 3 in the back, and now I have an 8-strand. And to do my 8-strand stitch, I'm going to take the green and come straight forward. I'm going to take the pink and come straight forward. Whoop, let me get back down in focus or in view. The green forward, the pink forward, and the yellow forward. The first green one that I did is the loose one on the end, so I'm going to take that left-hand orange and bring it across the front. I'm going to take the green, put it straight back. The pink, put it straight back. Whoop, come on, pink. It's a little hard the first time because it's a little bit loose. Let me get that loop back up there. There's the green, and here's the yellow. And as Gianna said, as you become more familiar where the strings go, it'll be easier for you. But you put that through the 3 loops now, and you are now tightening an 8-strand stitch. You may want to look at that a couple of times to get it down, but you now have an 8-strand stitch. And then you can go right ahead and do more 8-strand stitching, or you can do a twist like Gianna showed you. So at this point, it's just practice, practice, practice. The first couple will be tough. You might get frustrated. You might even want to give up, but look at the video a couple of more times and see if you can't make sense of it. And you will have lots of fun making twisting and straight boxes with your lanyard stuff. Now, I did want to show you one other thing. And that is, I hate to tell you how long I've actually been doing lanyards, but it's been a really, really long time. And when I was 12 years old, I went to camp in Akron, Ohio, and I didn't like to swim because I didn't like cold water and the lake was cold, and I wasn't really very good at sports. So I hung around the arts and crafts, or the art yurt, a lot. And so I learned how to make lanyards. And when I was 12, I was the youngest lanyard champion ever at that camp. And that was a lot of years ago, but I still make lanyards. And when I started going to camp at the Taylor Family Foundation, I was the lanyard dude, and I helped kids make lanyards. I ended up directing 3 camps there. But when I was a kid making lanyards, we didn't make, now what can you do with these? What do you do with these lanyards? Well, if you put a hook at the end, you can put a key, you can give it to your mom or dad and they can put a key on it, and it's a keychain. Or you can hang it on your backpack, or you can hang it on your name tag around your neck. There's lots of things that you can do with them. But back when I was making lanyards, we made actual lanyards that go around your neck. and we used to wear them, and our name tags were at the bottom of them. Here's my name tag that says Richard. And when you get, there's a lot of box stitches like we showed you, 4-strand, 6-strand, and 8-strand, and there's a lot of braiding stitches too. So you can take, this is a 4-strand braid with 2 colors, and I have 2 4-strand braids and joined them into an 8-strand braid. You can have different stitches. This is the flat part that goes around your neck. And then this is a lot of what we did today with twisting boxes and different kinds of stitches. But if you come to camp next year and you get these twisting boxes down, and I come and I'm the lanyard dude, and you want to spend some time, I'll show you how to make these braided lanyards that you can wear around your neck and put your name tag at the end of it. So,
and I'll as well.
So Gianna and I will, Gianna will learn how to do it, and we will be glad to teach you guys as much lanyard stuff as you want. No matter how old you get, you still like to do it. I'm proof of that. And so we are sorry that we're not all at camp this year, but we look forward to seeing you at camp next year. Any closing words, Gianna?
Have fun with it and continue having fun with it. And even if you get frustrated, there will always be videos showing it probably more eloquently than I did, maybe more than Richard did. I doubt it, but you can always find them on YouTube.
Yep. All right. Well, have fun, guys. Keep practicing, and we'll see you next year.
See you next year.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.